Started. Welcome to the Henry Ford College Board of Trustees meeting for February 21st, 2022. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Berry?
Whoops, sorry.
Here.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Here.
Trustee Moza?
Here.
Trustee Petrikoff?
Here.
Trustee Thorpe?
Here.
Trustee Watts here. President McDonnell?
Here.
Next, approval of minutes. Approval of the following minutes for the Board of Trustees. Policy Committee meeting, January 18th, 2022. Regular meeting, January 18th, 2022. Recommended action, make any necessary corrections and move to approve these minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Berry and a support by Trustee Watts. Are there any
No.
No, it's
corrections?
Petrikoff.
It was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Petrikoff. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Berry?
Yes.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Trustee Moza?
Yes.
Trustee Petrikoff?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Watts, yes. President McDonnell?
Yes. Next item, please.
Recognition and acknowledgements.
Sorry, I have to fight my mask off.
She's got the heavy-duty one.
Yes, I do. I'm gonna put my hair over on it. Okay. Thank you, President Gavel, Chair McDonald, and members of the board. My name is Ashley Trent. I am from Livonia, Michigan, and attended Franklin High School and adolescent day treatment. I left high school in 2005 due to anxiety that made going to school impossible. I was 18 with the credits of a sophomore. I earned my GED in 2008. I attempted to go to college 3 times, but my complex post-traumatic stress disorder and fibromyalgia, along with the belief that I could never be successful and repeated traumatic experiences, made continuing my education difficult as well, and I never finished a single semester. My son was born in 2015, and he gave me a new reason to keep reaching for my goals, as having kids tends to do. In 2019, I started my freelance graphic design business where I specialize in brand design. Although business was great, I still wanted to realize my dream of earning a college degree. I applied to HFC in 2020. Since I was stuck at home anyway, I might as well do something productive, and the 4th time's the charm, right? My plan was to keep my head down, just pass my classes, and earn my degree this time around. Today, I am in the honors program, PTK, Europe, the Dean's List, just got accepted into DSERP, and redesigned the HFC honors logo. I've earned consistent 4.0s in my previous 3 semesters. I never thought any of this was possible for me, and as much as I give myself credit for my hard work, I must also recognize the incredible faculty and peers who have supported me, believed in me, accommodated, and even valued my quirks, built me up, and never let me sink. HFC has been a life-changing experience for me, and I never want to leave. I'll have to be dragged out of here by my son when he's 40 years old. Now, I am pleased to read this month's HFC Board Acknowledgements. I hope I get the names right. Congratulations to Kiambra Pearson, Associate Dean in the School of Business, Entrepreneurship, and Professional Development. Kiambra wrote an article titled Training the Academic Middle Manager, which was published in the January 18th, 2022 edition of Inside Higher Ed. Sulian Larmond, an admissions associate in the International Admissions Office and HFC graduate, will become a U.S. citizen this month. She had her U.S. citizenship interview on February 7th, and her ceremony to be sworn in as a U.S. citizen will take place on February 22nd. Congratulations, Sulian. That's awesome. Congratulations to the following HFC students who submitted their work for the photography contest at the 2021-2022 Liberal Arts Network for Development Conference. Gabrielle Mayers received a 2nd place award in the Fine Art Photography Contest. Hussein Fouani received a 3rd place award in the Fine Art Photography Contest, and Ronald R. Spada Jr. received 2 honorable mentions for his photography. Go Ronnie. Congratulations to the following HFC wrestlers who won their weight class at the MCCAA Individual Wrestling Championship. Jake Campbell, 133-pound weight class. Jager Kwiatkowski? Okay, 141-pound weight class. Dominic Delgado, 149-pound weight class. Elijah Kidder, 157-pound weight class. And Deontay Taylor, 184-pound weight class. Congratulations to Jager Kwiatkowski, HFC wrestler who was voted MCCAA Freshman of the Year. HFC student athlete Mac Manciel was named MCCAA Eastern Conference Men's Basketball Player of the Week for the week ending February 5th. Mac posted 45 points, 15 assists, 9 rebounds, and 2 steals in 2 games for the Hawks. Congratulations, Mac. Thank you for the opportunity to be this month's reader. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Hi, Ashley. My name's Russ. We just met. Thank you for that wonderful job of reading a lot of different names and a lot of different things. I have to tell you, that's a tough thing for any student to do, but I'm not surprised by how well you did with your grade point average, your honors program, and I was excited and surprised to hear that you did the design for the new honors program logo, which is fantastic. Tell me, how is your business doing? Is it what is it like to be a student and running your own business?
There's a lot of, I used to always be available as a freelancer, and a lot of people that I know still come to me for work, and I have to say, like, my grades have to come first because this is a personal goal, and they're usually understanding, but I'll say, I'm scheduling out to, 2047, so.
Your work is in demand still.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, also being in demand, you said your son was born in 2015, which puts him in the same age as one of my little monsters. How have you balanced being a mother, being a business owner, and being a honors program student?
More gracefully than I can actually walk. I'm very fortunate. My son's dad and I are not together, but we're very good friends, and he helps with the balance a lot. And I mean, we just one moment at a time. That's pretty much how you balance anything.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job of it. You mentioned that you've got a lot of support from your peers and from the faculty here at HFC. I'm sure that there are other employees at the college also who have been helpful. And your path through your life to college, you've gone through a lot. I appreciate you having the courage to explain that and share that with a group of strangers. I can tell you, as one of those people who was a stranger to you 15 minutes ago, I am extraordinarily impressed. And on behalf of the college, we are extraordinarily honored that you're here with us. To choose us for this when you finally decided to really get at college and you're being successful, which probably would have been the case earlier, but here you are with us at HFC. What has worked? Obviously a lot of tenacity from you, but is there anything that we're doing here, or people who have been particularly helpful?
I mean, pretty much every instructor I've had has been a very good, it's kind of like we work together instead of like there's a balance between student and instructor here where I didn't see in my other attempts at other colleges, where they're talking to like colleagues that they respect. I'm very communicative, and they're always very supportive. The fact that I reach out and they reach back is huge. Adam Hazlett has been everything. We've really made a good relationship. I think the fact that I am so passionate about learning things and talking about things, I think that definitely helps the instructor to connect. And, like starting in 2020, right after, COVID, it was not the easiest thing doing everything online and still connecting, but turning my camera on helped. So, I could go on and on about what has worked. Pretty much the thing that it's boiling down to is going to the college that I always wanted to go to since I was a kid, and I kept trying to go to other ones. And I'm not gonna say HFC's to blame for my success, but it's definitely looking that way.
Well, I'm sure some of my colleagues here have questions for you, and then I have one before we let you go.
Okay.
Nothing from anyone? Trustee Petchikoff.
Well, I just want to say, I've been doing this for a number of years now as a trustee of this board, and it is absolutely refreshing and inspiring to hear from a student who is probably more representative of who we are serving than we recognize. And it's why we're here, and it's why we dedicated ourselves to volunteering as trustees to provide those opportunities for students who don't fit that round peg in the square hole type of mentality. And I am so happy to hear that you've had the spirit and resolve to continue to put yourself forward, and that in and of itself is what's going to make you successful in life. You've already proven that. You've made choices, while not always successful in the beginning, are going to lead you to a full life and are going to help your child recognize how to move forward as well. And I just really want to applaud you for the effort that you have put in and that you continue to put in, and you are truly the representative student for Henry Ford College, and I thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot. My heart.
Trustee Moses?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ashley, I concur with Trustee Petchikoff and her comments. I just want to, as somebody who's in technology, graphic design is huge right now and even more demanding. So you are in the right place at the right time. And I hope that the education that you receive here at the college will supplement also the knowledge that you already have as a business owner, and will help you get on with your business after you graduate from here, or help you achieve your bachelor's degree if you choose to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Watts?
Ashley, I just want to applaud you because being a mom is not easy.
Nope.
Being a student is not easy. And to do this during COVID, during unfamiliar times, while having both hats. So kudos to you.
Thank you. It definitely helps when I want to stay in and I don't want to go out among the germs. I can always just say I have homework, and it works pretty well.
So we also provide a convenient excuse.
100%.
I just want to say, Ashley, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, your successes and your struggles. We really appreciate hearing from our students. That means a lot to us. Continued success to you and all the best. And I love your sense of humor.
Thank you. Me too.
And you do not hear, did you have another question?
Nope, go ahead. You can bid Ms. Trent to do, and just know, Ms. Trent, that I concur with everything, and if I can ever help you, please let me know.
Thank you.
And you are not required to stay the rest of the meeting. I'm sure you have things that you'd rather do.
With everything I have achieved so excitedly, I don't think any of my instructors would be very surprised if I sit here and listen. So.
Well,
also what works is being a nerd. It helps so much.
but we hope we enlighten you.
Thank you again, Ashley. Next item, please.
President's items?
Thank you, Madam Secretary, Madam Chair, trustees. I have several items that I will address, and then towards the end of my time here, I will ask Lance Russell, a graduate of HFC and a photographer extraordinaire, to take a couple pictures of some of the important ceremonial type of occurrences that we do here that we've had to interrupt because of the pandemic, but now we can do those. But first, let me address the passing of one of our colleagues recently, who is Rick Gower. And before I go into talking a bit about Rick, let me just say a few things to my colleagues on the board and my colleagues at the college. Recently, it was brought to my attention that the way we, as an administration, address the passing of our colleagues, and unfortunately we've had too many of those. It's every single one of those are very difficult. And I always invite feedback and frankly criticism, and it's okay to have that kind of feedback and criticism, and I recently received some from how we report out when we have colleagues who have passed away. And I think that's healthy to learn how that is received. And in a minute, I want to talk about Rick Gower, but before I do that, I want to say to anyone who has feelings about the way we honor our fallen teammates, I'm always open to that. And I'll also note that it's a really difficult judgment call. It really is a difficult process to decide what to say about someone who you worked with and appreciated when they unfortunately have passed. And a lot of times there's parts of that analysis that are not something that I have liberty to disclose. And so it's okay that some individuals may kind of scratch their temple and think, well, why did Russ say this in this instance and say that in another instance? I will tell you that I'm open to hear feedback on that. We always do our very best to communicate with the family and honor the wishes of the family. And frankly, those are a lot of times different for the different people. And that would probably always be our most pivotal analysis. And also we hope to find a way to help our colleagues who are grieving the loss of an individual grieve that loss. So if there's any feedback that you all can give me on that, I'd be open to it. And please know that these are difficult decisions that we always try to do as best as we can with putting the family and their interests at the highest point. And Mr. Goward's an example of that. If you lived in Dearborn in the last 40 years, I find it hard to believe you wouldn't have known who Rick Goward was. He was everywhere, and he was an extraordinary person. And he was a teacher here. He was a leader in Rotary. He was a leader in many different musical groups and performances. And when he first passed away, in interactions with his family, we knew it wasn't a time to talk about it. But recently we now have put a rather lengthy and with consultation with the family presentation on our website to honor his life and his devotion to the college. And I invite you to look at it there. But to those of you who see Rick as your colleague who had just recently retired and your teammate, I count myself in that population, and I'm sorry for your loss, and we'll miss him. And we were just getting ready to do the President's Collage concert back in the Real Deal this year, and it's going to be hard to do without Rick, and I'll be thinking about him, and I know everyone on this board will, and I know many people in this community will. The next topic I want to address is a happy topic. It is the election of a leader at Henry Ford College. And the president of the full-time faculty union, which is AFT 1650, has been having elections every 2 years for a long time, but they really weren't elections. They were someone who had held that office and did such a great job that his membership reelected him, I think 22 times. Is that right, Eric? About 22 times for 2-year terms. And for the first time in a very long time, John Mcdonnell was not on the ballot. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but there was someone who I will take the liberty of saying I think he would have preferred, if it couldn't have been him, I think he would have preferred the person who was on the ballot, and that was Eric Rader, who you all know, and I know as a friend and a colleague, and of course he was elected president of AFT 1650. Eric, you're a modest person who doesn't like the limelight, but I am going to ask you to stand, and I will say, if you haven't met Eric already, I need you to know this is the new leader of 1650, a proud collective bargaining unit, one person that is also a leader in our community, one I look forward to working with, and I know the board holds you in high esteem, President Rader, and congratulations on your election. We wish you all the best, and we welcome you to big shoes to fill, but I know you can grow into them. So congratulations, President Rader. The other topic I wanted to address before we do a couple of the ceremonial photographs that I'm looking really, really forward to is that I put a statement out today about the masking rules for us at Henry Ford College. As you know, we've had an in-building mask protocol for quite some time. And the public school system that this board oversees, the state of Michigan, and soon the county have been adjusting their mask protocols. And so I started getting questions about whether and if Henry Ford College would adjust ours. And the trustees and my colleagues here at the college would have seen that I put an email out today that said, we recognize some institutions have made changes, and that's probably as a result of the guidance coming from local and state government. And we have a pretty effective process to look at how we want to respond to this pandemic, and I think it's probably better to describe it as an endemic. And we've changed the name of this group from the Return to Campus Core team to the COVID Response Team, and that team will meet on Friday. It is a cross-functional group that has served us well, and until then, until we leaders of the college gather the feedback from that group, we're going to keep our status quo, which is to have our masks on in person inside, with few exceptions. And we also invite colleagues who have strong feelings, or maybe even not strong feelings, but feelings nonetheless, to communicate to anyone on that COVID response team or their collective bargaining unit leaders, who will also be at the meeting on Friday. And I believe, Madam Chair, will you be there?
Yes.
The chair of the board will be there. And of course, my posture as your president will be, let's get the process and its feedback that it delivers before we make any changes. And so I'm committed to that, to all of you who work and study at HFC. And please, I heard from one union leader who kind of mentioned, you put that email out and it may have made some members think, I thought we weren't going to revisit that. I want to be clear. The email is not foreshadowing any preordained situation. It's simply to respond to several of the requests that have been coming in about whether and if we'll change. And the answer is, I don't know, but we will run our process, which has served us well. So I hope that adds some clarity to that question. We're going to do pictures next, so before we do that, I'll take any questions from trustees on the substance of the items I've addressed already.
No questions.
Okay, so first we're going to do what I'm calling passing of the gavel, and it was a tradition, Madam Chair, that I was excited to start before the pandemic when one trustee handed the gavel of chair over to another trustee, and then, of course, two chairpersons had to endure the pandemic through us. So we're ready to revive this tradition where we honor an outgoing chair with a token of our appreciation as a college, and then we also do a kind of passing of the guard, so to speak, with a passing of the gavel. So I will invite our photographer to come forward, and Madam Chair, it seems a little odd, we should have done this in January, but we couldn't. So I'll invite you and Trustee Thorpe, our immediate past chair, to the front of the dais. Yes. You carry your gavel.
Oh.
Yeah. We
Move down.
how close are we?
Alice in Wonderland. Move down.
Yeah, that's you right here. Okay.
See what happens.
This way.
That's around the corner.
Okay. All right, thank you. Chair Mcdonnell, you stay up here. And then if I could invite This is, we're going to be presenting a resolution on behalf of the board in appreciation of outgoing President John Mcdonnell of AFD 1650. So I'll ask his wife, Ms. Mcdonnell, if you wouldn't mind coming up, and President Rader, why don't you join us also on behalf of 1650? And I'll read a resolution, and then we'll do some photographs. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But Mrs. McDonald, this board can never know your suffering for having lost your husband. But we do know what we've lost as a college with a great leader and friend. And we were also without the ability to properly say those words. And so I appreciate your patience in letting us get to this when it was a place where we felt more comfortable being as close as we are now. And I also want to read about what we have decided as a board to honor what was a dedicated life of service to the college and its mission of helping people make better lives through public education. And in a minute, I'll read this, and of course, Chair McDonald will give you a token of this appreciation, and then we'll take photographs, and of course, I'll invite you to make any comments you want about President McDonnell. But before I do this, I do just want to say, I probably will never know what it's like to lose a spouse like John McDonnell. But I can tell you that I watched how you handled that with dignity and grace. And I was unfortunately restricted from being at the event that you held against my will. But I did watch it, and you did a wonderful job honoring the life of your husband and allowing our community to grieve his loss and also honor his life. And I want you to know that that was something that must have been immensely difficult, but you did it very, very well. And we hope only to do part of that today with what we're calling a living tribute to John McDonnell. Dear Denise and family, with John's legacy in mind, we have arranged to plant a tree in Ireland in his name. This tree will serve as a living memorial to a deeply dedicated teacher, mentor, friend, and leader. It will also evoke the memory of the cherished community college to which he devoted his entire career. We will always miss John, and we will always remember him. This tree will connect the many kinds of roots John planted and the many kinds of life-giving growth he inspired. Thank you for sharing us the gift of John. It is our hope that you will always see him honored in this community and that you will feel the genuine warmth and affection in which we hold his memory. This is signed by Roxanne R. McDonald, the Henry Ford College Board of Trustees chairperson, and myself. And this is a commemorative plaque that directs the trees being planted, and we have a formal declaration from the board. This is just for me to read from. And I hope this is taken as a way for us to just do one small bit of our appreciation for you and John. And God knows John sat here for 40 years watching these board meetings, and it's great to have you here, and I'd like to think he's here smiling at you, taking this on behalf of him. So if you wouldn't mind, we take some pictures. We'll do a couple without Eric, and then Eric will be in here.
Can you hold that a little bit? Tilt it a little bit more towards me. One more on the other way. Perfect.
All right, President Rader, come on in here. Thank you. Now, Mrs. McDonald said she might have the courage to make a few comments to address the board.
Just a few other
Well, First of all, I want to thank you for this beautiful tribute to John, and I guess I'm going to have to go to Ireland to see this tree. I mean, it's really a good excuse for me, but I'm just overwhelmed by the support and love I felt from the community, and especially the college. It certainly was heartwarming, and it reaffirmed what I always knew about John. He's a good man who did a lot of good for a lot of people, and he's going to be missed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that is my report.
Next item, please.
Special reports. The AACC Community College National Legislative Summit. In lieu of a presentation, just the way that the summit was organized, a presentation wouldn't quite do it justice. So I'll just report from the desk, or the table. So unlike the MASB conference that I know 3 of you had attended last year, the summit was organized differently. So it took place this past February 6th through 9th. And on that Sunday, it was the Advocacy Leadership Academy. So within that day, and I have notes that I will pass around for everybody, it was a day that had 4 sessions for those trustees that wanted to come and learn more about what advocacy looks like in DC. So the first session that I attended was by Undersecretary of Education, James Gavel, and he was able to give us 3 priorities that they had with the new administration and with community colleges. So the first one that he had was the COVID repercussions that he discussed, and the need to re-enroll students and how to retain college students. The second was student debt, and the third was equity. The second session was titled Testing Your Higher Education and Community College Priorities Knowledge. With that, they discussed the Pell Grant, and that previous Friday, the House had just passed an increase in Pell Grants of $400 that was found in the Competes Act, and that was that legislation that had passed the House was, quote, by U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo, she called that the biggest investment in 50 years to boost America's competitiveness, manufacturing capacity, and research and development. The last 2 sessions that I attended, one was called The Importance of Advocating as One Voice, and the other one was Making the Most of Your Congressional Meetings. Those both sessions were attended by staffers from both the House and the Senate, and one of them was also attended or spoke with our president here. And with those 2 sessions, and again I have notes that I'll pass along, they're just giving some tips of the trade, so when you do talk to your legislators, how to make it an effective message with one. That concluded Sunday session. On Monday, the summit officially started, and the opening speaker was Dr. Jill Biden. And she was a great representative for community college. She spoke from the heart, and her message was very transformative. After her session, after she spoke, then we had Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, speak. We were able to ask questions towards the end, and I did go up and I thanked him for visiting Henry Ford College last summer. And he was able to take some questions and answers, so I did ask a question about how we can continue the conversation for free community college, or whatever verbiage you want to use for that, both the short and long term. And the rest of the days on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they did have additional, they had Secretary of Labor, and they also had Congressman Levin speak. But in between those sessions, we had a couple of appointments with several elected officials. So if we didn't have a meeting with an elected official, then we were back at the summit. But we did meet with Undersecretary of Education, Michelle Cooper. We also had a meeting with Secretary of Commerce, Raimondo. We also had 3 meetings, one with Congresswoman Dingell, Congresswoman Haley Stevens, and Congressman Andy Levin. And then we also attended the MCAA MCCA breakfast. That was a breakfast that was for the Michigan Community College Associates. So some of our fellow constituents from various colleges, trustees, and presidents, and we were able to meet their new title
President.
president. Yes, thank you, Brandy. Brandy's last name Johnson. Thank you. So we met with her, actually throughout the entire summit as well, and throughout the entire summit it was productive, and it was beneficial to be able to meet with our elected officials and to continue to advocate for community college, whether through increase in Pell Grant, the continuing conversation for free education for community college students that may not qualify for Pell Grant but still need that assistance. And they spoke very highly of Henry Ford College. And same with many of the attendees as well from other states as well. Did I miss anything? So, any questions? I do have the notes that I'll pass along to everybody.
Thank you, Trustee Watts. Next item, please.
Action items, citizen participation. Citizens wishing to address the board on agenda and non-agenda items for action who have submitted a blue card to the secretary may speak at this time. The board may not be in a position to respond to non-agenda items, therefore speakers should not anticipate an immediate response to their comments or questions. For the benefit of all concerned, do not mention the names of students or college employees. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. And I do have some blue cards. Lynn Boza. She's representing AFO, Adjunct Union at HFC. She would like to address the board about college's human resources plan.
Good evening, Chair Mcdonnell, Board of Trustees, President Calhoun. Last month, we heard a report from Tracy Davis, I believe, about the new resources and new measures taken by Human Resources to recruit, hire, and retain employees. I heard nothing in respect to adjuncts, so I have some concerns. Now, Article 16C of the AFO contract says when full-time positions become available, senior adjuncts will be interviewed in at least an equal number to external candidates interviewed in seniority order among qualified senior adjuncts, and provided that there are sufficient numbers of qualified senior adjuncts who apply. The college retains the discretion to make the hire decision, and that decision is not subject to the grievance procedure. So we understand the college doesn't have to hire us. The college has a plan for moving forward, and the Board of Trustees asked for updates on that plan as time goes on. I asked the following questions of HR, and shortly, a little while ago, and a response is pending. I'm hoping that the Board of Trustees is going to support that request, and they may be interested in that information also. Number one, how are we using our existing talent? How many adjuncts have been hired into full-time positions over the last 9 years? That would be President Jensen's administration from 2013 to 2017, President Calhouna's administration from 2018 to the present 2022. Curious to know how many people have gone from adjunct status to full-time using our talent. Now, with respect to retention, in 2020, the AFO had 700 members on the books. During the current semester, we have only 423 working. So the college needs to increase its enrollment, and that would increase the number of adjuncts working. Adjuncts fall off the list after 3 years of non-assignment of classes. This is just for your information. And, hopefully our enrollment will increase so we don't lose that adjunct talent also. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I make a brief comment about that?
Absolutely.
President Boza, I appreciate your comments. I was not aware of your request of HR, but it sounds like it was just very recent. I'll make sure to make that response get to the Board of Trustees, which it sounded like you were asking for, I'm absolutely willing to make sure that that happens. And I just want you to rest assured that the talent management strategy that Assistant Director Davis outlined at our last board meeting, it is applicable to all of the college, including your members. And of course, your collective bargaining agreement would be a priority above the talent management strategy. So please do help me communicate to your members that nothing in the talent management strategy would contravene your collective bargaining unit rights, which you have you can rely upon.
Madam Chair.
Trustee Mosem?
Thank you. So I assume this is a request for information about existing hires from Gent in the last 7 years. Are we making that request right now, based on President Boza's recommendation?
My understanding is it has been made to HR, and then you will make sure that that information is shared with the board.
Yes, I would appreciate that, and if you could be also telling us the percentage, not just the numbers, but percentage with respect to the new hires. So it would tell us, out of the new hires, this is how much percentage that we have from Gent faculty. Thank you.
Certainly. Next, okay.
Next is Eric Rader. He would like to address the board about Local 1650 leadership.
Chair Mcdonnell, members of the board, and President Cavaluna. As the new president of AFT Local 1650, I wanted to say a few things to you this evening. I've stood at this podium on many occasions over the years, and I know all of you, so it's really not an introduction. However, I am here in a new role. John McDonald was my dear friend and mentor. Thank you for honoring him this evening, and for honoring Denise as well. John's passing leaves a huge void in the lives of Local 1650 members and here at HFC, his professional home for 52 years. Local 1650 will be honoring John's legacy in life in the months ahead, and we look forward to working with the board and administration on ways to continue John's incredible work. And I should say that he did mentor me I think very well, and that may not always be to your liking, but I learned a lot from John. At any rate, I am the 5th elected president of AFT Local 1650, the Henry Ford Community College Federation of Teachers. My predecessors and members they represented helped to make HFCC and now HFC the great institution we are today. As the Federation president, I have the honor of representing incredible full-time teachers, counselors, librarians, learning services experts, career service leaders, student affairs professionals, and other academic leaders here at HFC. Whenever I speak to you as the president of Local 1650, I am representing the collective wisdom, expertise, and guidance of academic professionals. While we will sometimes disagree with you on interpretations of the contract and other issues, I pledge to be direct, honest, and respectful in expressing the views of Local 1650 members to you. We care about this great school and our students, which is why we've all chosen this institution to be our professional home. Finally, I am pleased to serve alongside the other union leaders on campus and their members, particularly Lynn just spoke, the Support Staff Association, SSA, Local 71, the Dearborn Schools Operating Engineers, and our sister union, AFT Local 337, the Adjunct Faculty Organization. All the collective bargaining units represent hardworking HFC employees who do our very best every day to serve our students and help them achieve better lives. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, President Rader, and Godspeed in your new position. Congratulations.
Next, President Winless from SSA would like to speak on 2 topics. The first is Ms. Pfister, and second is values and beliefs.
Good evening. I want to thank the board and everyone here tonight for your time. My name is Leslie Winless, and I'm the president of the Support Staff Association. As many of you know, the SSA lost a member this past December. On behalf of the SSA, I wanted to extend a thank you to the college community for rallying behind us to show support in our time of need. I apologize if I missed anyone, but we wanted to thank the Facilities Department, Campus Safety, and the Communications Department for assistance in pulling off the on-campus vigil under short notice. A very special shout out to Al, who made several beautiful portraits for Tamika that we were able to give to her family. The Office of the President for donating funds towards the cost of the vigil. The Foundation Office for the creation of a $1,000 annual scholarship in honor of Ms. Heister. Through this gesture will allow Tamika's legacy of serving students to live on long after she's gone. The Black Employee Association, also known as the BEA, for writing an article about Tamika. Last, everyone who donated to the Heister family. As a community, we were able to provide the family with $8,105 in cash to pay for competition fees for her daughter London to continue dancing, and to adopt the Heister family for Christmas. It took about 3 full trips to drop off all the gifts, and the family has sent nonstop thank yous to everyone here for that supported these initiatives. The only request of her close colleagues and friends and family is that there be an article written about Ms. Heister, like there has been done for other employees that passed away. I have heard from both employees on my union, but more so from those who are not, that they wish to see a formal article regarding the life of Ms. Heister. With permission from her mother, I would like to provide the college with a copy of her obituary to help with this article. But I would also like to briefly speak about Tamika. Until this day, the Welcome Center has felt the loss of our teammate and friend. I'll be the first to admit that I still can't even look at her desk when I walk by. She began working at the college in 2016 and was known for advocating for students as well as providing excellent customer service. She was also an alumni of Henry Ford College. She earned her associate's degree in business in August of 2020. Additionally, she completed the requirements for the Michigan Transfer Agreement, which afforded her the opportunity to further her education at Eastern Michigan University. Eastern Michigan University will be issuing an honorary bachelor's in paralegal studies at their graduation ceremony this summer. Tamika was an amazing daughter, mom, sister, aunt, and friend. Her passions were making jewelry, being a dance mom, watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Tamika leaves to cherish her memory her daughter London, her mother Miss Horn, and her brother Gregory Jr. The love of her life, Claude, her son Damani, 2 nieces, and a host of family, friends, cousins, aunts, uncles. May she forever rest in peace, and we thank you for your time tonight.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, absolutely.
President Windlass, I want to respond to a couple things you mentioned, but before I do that, I want to compliment you on the list. Well, let me just say, you left out one person in the list of people who did great things to honor the life of your colleague, and that's you. You were the driving force behind that vigil, and you, even today, show and honor her life as a friend and a colleague. And I, having attended that vigil, I can tell you that you gave a real public service to those people and the people who were suffering that loss during your time of loss. And you did it well. And I appreciate it, and the college appreciates it. I also, I didn't have the pleasure of meeting and getting to know your colleague. And I want to make sure I honor her correctly. Do you pronounce her last name Hister or Heister?
Heister.
Okay. Absolutely. I will work with you to have an article written about Ms. Heister. And I'll just say, it may have been my mistake, and if it was, I apologize. I was a little unclear about what the family wanted said. And it sounds like you have the opportunity to help me get past that, and I will commit to you and your colleagues that article will happen. And to the extent it felt like a pain point, I apologize on behalf of the President's office for that. And on behalf of the President's office, who you were gracious in thanking for the support, thank you for helping us support the work you did on that vigil. And I can tell you're still affected, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, President Kaplan. Sorry, I mixed my speeches up. Okay. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. Not so fun topic. Okay. Thank you again for your time tonight and for allowing me to speak on 2 different topics. My name's Leslie Windlass, the SSA President. The decisions we make every day should reflect our values and belief, because when we use our values to make decisions, we make a deliberate choice to focus on what's important to us. The last couple of years have left us questioning our value here at HFC. Contrary to what some may believe, I am not speaking because I want to or because I like to cause trouble. I am here because a large majority of my membership requested that I speak tonight, because they believe my voice at this podium is needed for change. No matter how confident you are or brave, no employee desires to come speak to their boss in public. Us coming here and speaking should be viewed as a Hail Mary. We received a response to our formal complaint regarding retaliation, and I'll be honest and say I didn't read it, because regardless of what it says, the systems are still in place to allow the same things to happen repeatedly. Whatever it says doesn't trump our first-hand experiences. Our mistrust for the hiring practices is justifiable, considering the tens of thousands of dollars paid out to our members for hiring errors. If we continue the practice of dodging complaints concerning retaliation through pointing out technicalities, then we can expect the same behavior that all of our policy says is not tolerated to continue. The culture of "it's just business" at the expense of your employees is not acceptable. Employees have been being paid for college closures for any reason as a past practice in existence for over 3 decades. The college informing SSA employees that they need to use PTO or they won't be paid for closures without any notice the same week I spoke at a board meeting is not a coincidence. We are just following Board Policy 1050, which instructs employees to raise consciousness concerning ethical responsibilities and encourage acceptance of these responsibilities. We're all in this together. I consider you my teammates. We value you. Those words mean nothing if the people they are spoken to don't believe them. If you say you value us as employees, then we should feel it. There's a huge disconnect because we don't. It is also not on the SSA to fix this divide between what we feel and the words we hear from administration. Actions speak louder than words, and for years this institution has treated the SSA like second-class citizens. For example, it took a pandemic for us to be able to call in sick when we had the flu without penalty. The classism problem on this college campus started long before I was an employee here, and will still likely be here when I'm gone. The way we are treated does not align with Board Policy 5000 values and beliefs. This could change, though, if we started to use the words employee morale synonymously with the word student enrollment. I'll close my message with a message to my members. Even when our employer acts in a way that doesn't make you feel like a valued employee, I need you to know that you are, and that without you, our frontline essential staff, there would be no HFC. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts and concerns. And I just do want to say that all of our employees, everyone associated with this college, we value the dedication to our students. We value the time that you spend here. We do value. We may not get everything right, but we try to address concerns and we try to move forward in a positive way. So thank you again for bringing your concerns to us. Next item, please.
Special consideration of an action item. Are there any action items on this agenda which board members or the president wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude these from the action below.
I have questions on number 1 and 2. They don't need to be pulled.
We first need a motion and a second.
So moved.
A support.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Thorpe and a support from Trustee Mosip. Go ahead, Trustee Mosip.
Yeah, the first question is on number 1. So I recognize those are HPE or HP products that we're buying for servers. My question, and I see that we did a bid here. Is there a reason why do we go through a bid process rather than buy it directly from the manufacturer? And the other thing is for the second item, as far as the email service for security package, shouldn't this be covered if we're using currently, if I'm not mistaken, we're currently using Microsoft product for the staff, and then Google, we're using that for the students. So will both systems be covered for the email security? I hope those are.
Vice
not too technical questions for Vice President Saskowski to answer?
They are. I can't answer that. I think Joe here as my colleague can answer it for you.
Sure, that's fine.
On the first question, Trustee Moses, is the question,
It's more about the process. So whenever there is a product that we have, we do know who the manufacturer from. So do we go through a bid process in order to achieve mostly affordable pricing, or is it because they do added services for us as far as the vendor?
The first one is, I don't know, Fred might be here, but I can tell you.
Yeah, I think Fred is.
What we do here is on the first one, follow the bid protocol, the purchasing policy that the board has, which at certain levels, we have to bring them to we have to bid them. First, we have to either do a quote, depending upon the amount. If it's higher than that amount, we then do formalized bids. And then if it meets the threshold of just under $29,000, it has to come here for the board to bid. If there are alternatives to what we're asking, the specifications are pulled forward, and this so happens that these 11 groups here could have served us well in providing the bid. We end up getting 3 out of it, but this is something that would be, how should I say it, so unique that you only have one vendor on it, or a vendor that has been providing us that service in the past.
If I heard correctly, I think Trustee Bozick asked whether, why wouldn't we go direct to the manufacturer?
Correct, yeah.
We have contracts for HPE products, but they are handled through distributors. That's the way that HPE does business. We can't buy directly from them.
Okay.
And contract pricing from some of the group purchasing organizations that we belong to was used on this. We got several bid responses.
Yep, I saw that in that report. The other question then, do we choose for HP products, or can it be any kind of servers with any brands as long as they meet the
This particular purchase was for our computer information systems academic program. And so when it's for academic use, we defer to faculty in that area. It happens that the servers that we bought for the academic program are nearly identical to what we purchased for the college's own information technology services department just not too long ago.
Sure.
So the students are getting trained on the same kind of stuff that we are using in the actual business environment.
Great, thank you. And for the other question, do you know, Mr. Steiner, as far as the email?
I know that the Mimecast system is replacing an existing system that's similar to it.
Okay.
So, and it provides a lot better protection. I know that Joe Zitman was really excited to get this stuff in and out.
Is this an annual contract? It wasn't clear from the report. Is this an annual contract or some certain years?
I believe that is a multi-year contract.
Because it says it expires next month.
Yeah,
But for the old system, so how long this contract last us for?
I believe that the existing program that we had was a 3-year agreement.
Okay.
And I also taking a look at this, we did get national contract pricing on the software.
Okay.
So what, Madam Chair, what I could do is make a report to the board as a request for information about the interaction between this software and/or service as it relates to the software that Trustee Moses mentioned, providing service to the staff and the students here, and then also getting clarity on the length of the service of the proposed action item.
That would be helpful. Thank you. Were there any other questions on any of the action items? There being none, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Trustee Moses?
Yes.
Trustee Petlicoff?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Trustee Watts? Yes. President McDonald?
Yes. Next item, please.
Board of Trustees business, acknowledgements of correspondence.
I don't recall having any. Anyone else? Next item, please.
Board committee reports.
We just had a committee meeting.
Yeah, Madam Chair, the policy committee met, and the chair of that committee asked me to report out its activity, and if you're okay with it, I'll do that.
Yes, please.
The policy committee met at 6 o'clock this evening and met for about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less because one of the staff members, the president, was a little tardy. I was meeting with the other trustees. But the policy committee discussed a question about what policies and bylaws we will update and review this year. And as you know, that's an ongoing process. And one of the things that the policy committee decided to put at the top of the list was what our current posture is on trustees handling requests from constituents in a number of things. Student issues, hiring issues, or procurement issues, whether it be goods or services. And at this board meeting, or at this committee meeting, Vice President Clark outlined the current status of those policies and bylaws, and went through several scenarios about what our current posture would dictate in those scenarios. And the policy committee directed staff to continue evaluating this and to put this question of whether our conflict of interest and ethics bylaws are sufficient, and if not, what we could do to update them, and that will be ongoing work for the President's office and the General Counsel's office.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else to add to that that policy meeting? All right. Were there any others? No. Next item, please.
Requests for information and/or future agenda items.
Well, I think we had a couple already. Are there any others? Hearing none. Next item, please.
Board member commentary.
Trustee Barry.
I started my journey at Henry Ford College in September of '81. 2 weeks before my first class, I was in the country of Lebanon, where I was born. And we were downtown with a few relatives where a car bomb went off about 25 yards away where I was. Needless to say, I didn't return to that country for 35 years. This morning I learned that there's probably close to 50,000 Ukrainian Americans in southeastern Michigan. One of them being here with us tonight, our colleague, Trustee Watts. Where am I going with this is 40 years ago, when I was trying to read and study, I also had I don't even know if I had a remote, but CNN was where everybody watched for news. It was very troublesome. I remember those days when, things were upside down in the country of Lebanon. Now, there's a lot of things going on in the Middle East, but there's a lot of support for Middle Eastern, Arab American students. I'd like to see, I don't know if there's a way we can reach out to our students, President Cavaluna, to see, I'm sure that there are some students here, there are Ukrainian Americans, and if we can offer whatever support we can through our counselors or whomever help them through these challenging times. And I can probably speak, I'm sure I can speak for everybody here that we're praying for peace in the country of Ukraine for moving forward, period. Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely. Trustee Musa?
Thank you, Madam Chair. February is Black History Month, and today my wife and I took both of our kids to Barnes & Noble since the libraries were closed for President's Day. But we picked up a few books on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, icons of the civil revolution or civil rights movement. Something that I would like to wish everybody happy and remembrance of Black History Month and celebration of the contributions of African Americans and Black Americans to this country. And I wanted to acknowledge that at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Thorpe?
I would just like to follow up on comments that President Cavaloon made earlier today on the passing of Rick Gower. And over the last 3 months, we've lost a few different people that have been very connected to the college. And I've heard then tonight, or know of, that there's scholarships for each of those 3 that have been started. I hope we're able to keep the memories alive of those that have done so much for the college, so that future generations have a chance to learn about them and what they did for us. Thanks.
Absolutely. President Cavalluna?
Yeah, I have several comments. I'm an ex officio board member, so I want to go after every board member's done with their commentary.
Trustee Watts?
Well, thank you, Trustee Barry. It's been a difficult day today. So from our family, I have family in Ukraine right now, and so it's not a new story. It's just a constant fear that has been from generation to generation. So from the Ukrainian community to you, I just want to say Дякую. And it's been a rough couple of days. So, but thank you. And the second point I wanted to say is that I was a history major, and I think the month of February is one that, to go back to Black History Month, it is those that have fought through history that we need to remember, for it was difficult then. And had they not spoken up, where would we be today? So I think that there's so much value in looking back at history and seeing how that those events have formed to where we are now and who we are now as a nation. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, President Cavalluna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Barry, I appreciate that recommendation to reach out to anyone from our community that is like Trustee Watts and suffering, having seen what's going on in that country of Ukraine, that I will do that. President Boza, you mentioned the previous presidents and their hiring of AFO, and I don't know if the facts are there, but we don't want to leave out the reign of President Satkowski. He may have, you didn't mention him, and that's the best president in the last 20 years here, I can tell you. So we may find, and if it's good during those years, I'm going to take credit. Let's see, President Rader, one thing I wanted to mention was thank you to a person who filled a void as an interim president, and I didn't see him at the beginning, but I see him now, and I wanted to thank him. Jeff Morford has been a leader in 1650. He's been an instructor here, and you know, he filled in at a time when 1650, by its operation, had an interim president, and I'll say, you know, he advocated for your membership, and he worked with me and some of my administration to try and make things better, and helped us see where we may have not been doing very well, and I appreciate his service in the lurch there. So Jeff, thank you very much. And you know, like what you said, President Rader, Jeff followed President Mcdonnell's mentorship. I mean, he was respectful and direct, and I don't need to be told that about you. I already know that about you, and I appreciate it. And it's one thing that I want to just say that John McDonnell and I worked hard at that, and it was important to both of us, because this institution was bigger than John McDonnell and bigger than me. and us working together where we could and being respectful where we had to disagree was a tradition that I greatly appreciated from him and interim President Morford, and I know will be there with you, President Rader. So I think you're right to say it, and I want to reciprocate it to you publicly. And even if you didn't say it, I'd know it, because that's your character. And those are my comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you, President Cavalona. One thing I would like to just remind everyone that March 1st will be Election Day, special election in the city of Dearborn. Next item.
Future meeting dates. Monday, March 14th, 2022, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom. Monday, March 21st, 2022, HFC Board of Trustees meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Services and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom.
And I'd just like to say we had to postpone unexpectedly an ad hoc committee meeting that is listed on this, so that will be a future date that we will be putting it out.
Thank you. We are adjourned.